Good afternoon, everyone. Jenni and I are very honored to be here with you this afternoon. And what we want to talk to you about will be expanding mental health care to rural areas of the country. For myself, I've been working in rural mental health since the mid-'80s. I've been very passionate about how can we serve our rural communities. A little bit about our company. Our company is Hill Country Mental Health and Developmental Disabilities. There's a lot of details in here, but we've been in an organization since 1997, and we serve, we're a unit of local government governed by a board that's made up of primarily county judges across a large service area of Southwest Texas. We have various service rates from mental health, developmental disabilities, substance use services, veteran services, and many other residential services as well. Our coverage area is actually 19 counties. As I said, it's part of Southwest Texas. We represent 7% of the Texas counties. There's 254 counties in Texas. 13 of our counties are designated rural medically underserved service areas, and the whole area is kind of, it's very rural, you might say, and very few healthcare providers out there. Our county populations, we serve from one county being approximately 300,000 to down less than 2,000. We've got 8 counties certified as frontier counties. And then we've got one of our mental health centers that actually serves 6 counties across the service area. So certainly we are very, represent the rural areas. As you look at the map of Texas, you can see the area highlighted in blue. This is our catchment area. And then the insert there where you see the dark blue counties, you'll see the little dots there. That's where we have our local mental health clinics scattered throughout that service area. The communities and population we're serving, 8 of our counties have a Hispanic or Latino population greater than 50%. 4 of the counties are between 60 and 80% Hispanic Latino. It's a 6-hour drive for one across our service area, and that's at 85 miles an hour, I might say. That's the speed limit out there. It's actually 300 miles across the area. So right at 23,000 square miles. It's comparable to the size of West Virginia. The population's larger than North Dakota, Alaska, DC, Vermont, and Wyoming. And the service area is actually approximately the size of New Jersey, Hawaii, Connecticut, Delaware, Rhode Island, all combined. Across that service area, we have 15 mental health centers. We have 3 administrative offices located out there. We have 1 crisis stabilization unit, 1 youth crisis respite unit, and then we are also bringing on 2 additional crisis units with about 54 beds that we'll be bringing those on. And then I wanted to show you as we start looking at how we are bridging the gap to serve these rural communities. And just as that, from Austin to San Antonio, we cover that area, which is very different because that's a very fast-growing population. And then you go all the way out to the border of Mexico and Del Rio, and you have areas that, it's just very, very remote. No cell phone service, needless to say, no, high-speed internet service. And so what we tried to do was said, let's find a way of bridging the gap. And so with that, Frank should be able to show us a video.
Hi, I'm Clay Mitchell with Hill Country MHCA Centers. Welcome to our mobile mental health clinic. Our mobile mental health clinic is a compact but rugged design that allows us to get into those rural spaces and bring the services to the community wherever they may be. We're able to bring some of those creature comforts from home, including a sink with hot water, trash can, or a refrigerator. We also have ample storage space to bring a lot of supplies out to people and the community at large. Our mobile clinic has both satellite and 5G internet capabilities, which allows us to bring that internet into the rural spaces. We're able to provide teledoc services through televideo seamlessly.
And what does that do? Who are y'all speaking to at Teledoc?
Our prescribers, our psychiatrists or nurse practitioners that are able to prescribe medications without saving the individuals from having to drive over an hour into the clinic.
Thank you, Frank. Now, before we move into these staffing situations, what I just say is that one of the things that with the mobile mental health clinics that I mentioned was that the technology of utilizing basically Starlink satellite, because we couldn't get any reliable. And so that was really a game changer for this, because otherwise our persons were having to drive long distances and through the area. And so we're very proud of that. So Jenny, why don't you talk about some of our staffing considerations?
Thank you, Landon. And I'm going to move onto your side because I do need to be able to see that slide, and I don't want to stand in front of my fellow panelists. Okay.
We're dancing.
So, that van is always super impressive to me, even now through the video. But as you know, a van is just a pretty cool looking van unless we are staffing it appropriately, unless we are scheduling services that are actually needed and attended in our communities, and we are providing for safeguards. So that's where I come in and I get to talk to you a little bit about those considerations. Landon talked a lot about our catchment area. It is always a little overwhelming when I hear it and I see it. I try not to think about it. It takes a lot of strategy to serve 19 counties, and I think with Hill Country, we have been able to bridge many of those gaps and widen our safety net. But we serve, and we have the honor to serve, about 14,000 people across that area. And the only way we're able to do that is because we have 500 of the most amazing staff members and team members on with Hill Country. And so I want them to hear a loud shout out from me here in Florida. Hiring, though, can be tricky. And when we looked at hiring for our mobile clinics, it took a little bit of a different approach than how we typically hire for our outpatient clinics. We'll talk a little bit later about how we were able to get some buy-in from the community, but I will tell you one of the major concerns from our community partners that we hire people for the van that were local to that area, that knew the cultural, to be culturally aware of that area, that knew the unique challenges that exist in those areas and that how to resource knowledge. Many of the folks that are on these clinic vans are addressing a vast variety of situations with the clients that they're serving. And so they need to have resources and knowledge about multiple systems in the community. So not only was proximity important, we needed these great team members to have a really flexible schedule. We were trying to move away from a typical 8 to 5. That can be very challenging for some of the people that we serve. And so we needed people on the van that were willing to have a flexible schedule and met credentialing needs. So with Hill Country, we dedicated one full-time employee to each of the vans, and then we rotate out with our outpatient clinic team members depending on the service needs of the day. But the one dedicated full-time employee needed to be credentialed to do quite a bit of things, including administrative, but we also wanted them to be able to provide psychosocial rehab, skills training, provide case management, supported housing, supported employment, so we were really maximizing our services while we were out in the community. Let's see, based on service needs again, so we may have a van that's out in the community one day providing psychiatric and nursing services, and of course administrative, and on another day we're providing therapy, peer support, maybe we're providing COPS-D services. We are really trying to keep a listening ear to the community and to the people that we're serving out there, and we are adjusting our services as needed. The training looks very similar to what we have with our other staff members as far as all the routine Hill Country training and defensive driving, but as you can imagine, these vans come with a pretty thick procedure manual, And so in addition to that, we also have incident injury reports, policies and procedures specific to the van. Schedules, so I'm sure I'm not sharing anything new with you, that schedules sometimes make or break the program, right? And the scheduling with our mobile clinics was critically important. Not only are we listening to the community and what they need, but we started to look at the data from our outpatient clinics. What were the zip codes or area codes that we were seeing consistent missed appointments? What were the challenges around why they were not able to get to our outpatient clinics? And would they be better served and more successful if we could bring that clinic van out to them? So medication management, case management, enrollment or intake, peer support and skills training, all services that are critical, but again, strategically provided depending on where we are. The staggered schedule is something I definitely wanted to highlight, though it gets a little weird to talk about. Imagine that you have 2 vans in different counties of Texas with 1 prescriber, right? And so we wanted to make sure that we were maximizing that prescriber's time while reducing the wait time outside of the van, because logistically, that just wasn't a good idea either. And so we staggered appointments. We have 1 appointment happening in 1 clinic van, and once that provider is done, then they switch over to the other van, and we go back and forth with it. That helped reduce wait times, and again, makes maximum use of our prescriber time. So we have about 5 to 30 minutes between appointments, and during that time, people can get caught up on assessments, authorizations, again, scheduling, because the rest of the clinic team is in the van able to do so. A couple of safety considerations. Like I mentioned, the mobile clinic has specific policies and procedures to it, but in addition to that, we have pre- and post-trip checklists that have to be done daily, and then we have routine maintenance, and that's going to be monthly, quarterly, annually with the van. We maintain an on-call schedule, so there's a supervisor on call for the mobile clinic team at all times. That supervisor is trained in the van's procedures and operations and able to see the schedules, so we can provide some best support to our team out there. I think we're going to talk a little bit more about this in just a second, but each of the areas that we park the van is really, really important. It's important that the communities knew that we were coming. It was important that we had their trust and their buy-in, and that each of the places where we were parking the van was safe for the people that we served. So we recruited over some FQHCs and other trusted community partners, and we formalized that partnership through ILAs and MOUs. We'll talk more about this pre-launch coordination, and then I will just finish it up with at least 1 staff member, and usually it's going to be that case manager, is also trained in crisis intervention, so that at all times when we're operating the van, there's somebody in person that can provide crisis response as needed.
Yeah. Well, these vans also have a dual purpose. Some of y'all may have heard that in the Texas Hill Country, we had a tragic flood, July 4th, the Guadalupe River. In our community alone, it killed over 130 people. These vans, we'd had to order them, and just so happened on July 5th, the semi showed up. And so we immediately rolled the mobile mental health clinics off the semi and deployed them that very day. And so you see some pictures here. We deployed the mobile mental health clinics up various stages along the river, because we had probably about a 50-mile stretch of the river, and roads were washed out and everything. And our mobile mental health vans are different than some of them, because these are all-wheel drive. They're small enough to get down through the small roads that you couldn't get a big RV down. And so that was very critical. Next slide, please. As we moved on to getting into our communities, we wanted to take a very strategic approach. First thing we have done is we're going out to all the commissioner courts and doing an introduction and getting on the agenda for the county commissioner courts, and doing a demonstration for them and getting their welcome to come into their community to bring this service. And that was very critical. I know we're running very close on time, so Jenny, if you would go ahead and advance the slide and go forward.
Sure, absolutely. So again, just a quick illustration here for our county coverage and where we have each van supporting those counties. And then these slides coming here just show you where the van is centrally located and the counties that they help support with that safety net. And to the right of each slide, you'll see how many miles and minutes it is for each of those locations. If you see this one, the van is located centrally in Uvalde. Each of those hexagons shows where our brick and mortar clinics are. And you'll see Del Rio and that entire area, the van is able to provide services to an area that really is quite underserved out there. And we capture this information in miles and minutes. I was watching this funny, I don't know if it was a meme or a video or something, but it said, you can tell someone's from Texas because they don't talk about miles as miles, they talk about miles in minutes. And that is accurate, that's what we do. And so here's our third van in San Marcos, serving a couple of other counties. And then this superhero van, he's out there serving centrally located in Junction, but then supporting 6 other areas. And that's just a quick illustration of how we, again, can support all of those areas, and many of them rural, some of those frontier. So looking ahead, I've been with Hill Country now for almost 20 years, and 20 years ago, I couldn't have dreamed something like this. I think I saw one at NotCon one year, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. And now to see it happening, to see it in disaster response, and I know Landon said we're running out of time, but I will just tell you really quickly, if you are considering something like this for disaster response, it is a game changer, because in July in Texas, the heat was unbearable, and our first responders were out there doing incredible work. And they would walk past us, and they knew us because we were in these green vests, and they're like, oh, those are the mental health people, and they would keep walking past us, and then they learned that our van had air conditioning, and they wanted to come in. And as they came in and as they sat down, they were able to shut the door. Because when you're doing disaster response, especially one like an environmental disaster, you are surrounded by it, right? It's everywhere you look. So being able to go into the air conditioning and shut the door was a huge benefit and blessing in that way. So looking forward, I talk a lot about data, and we will use that data to inform future decisions around brick and mortar locations. Of course, we will continue our partnerships. I think through all of our data, again, we are listening to what the people that we are serving need, and we are creating partnerships targeting those needs. And then we are identifying trends and common stressors, and then we are focusing our treatment plans accordingly.
Well, and on this slide here, the picture on the side of it, that's one of our peers that did that, showing how crawling the ladder towards their own recovery. And so we thought that was a nice addition. So thank you very much.